It's time for the Jim and Terry Show.
The Jim and Terry Show. I'm Terry.
And I'm full of life, Jim.
Jim's full of something.
I'm full of it, that's for sure.
I don't know what that is. I have a few words come to mind flitting around. We were talking about ethics just a moment ago in between our podcasts. So let's pick up that notion. We talked about an avalanche in a previous podcast, and we talked about the ways to survive that thing. But then we talked about the ethics of making the choice to go into the danger zone.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that I just don't find it wonderfully macho or for many reasons. One is you're worried mother or you're worried wife or vice versa if it's a woman going out and doing all the adventuring. The other thing is we talked about it. I decide I want to climb up a cliff. I get stuck or have a brain aneurysm or something, and someone has to come and get me off of that cliff. And lots of times the people coming to get you get killed themselves or hurt. So I think there should be way more, you'd have to pay for, if you're going to be screwing up everybody's life, there should be a special tax on, I don't know what you would call it.
Adventurous tax.
Yeah, sure. Adventurous tax?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's just the way I feel now. I know there's a lot of probably chest puffers out there because we have hordes of chest puffers listening to our show.
Well, now we're talking about kind of censoring freedom here, the freedom to roam.
Well,
mobility.
Again, we were looking at an article on how to survive a avalanche. And I said, and half kidding, but I said it, well, first thing is don't find yourself in a situation where you need to survive an avalanche. And we talked about Trudeau's brother who died, yes. And we weren't sure if they even found his body ever because he was skiing in a dangerous area. So a lot of things I just say don't do. Like I won't jump out of an airplane. I don't need these thrills in my life. I'd rather see a rocket go off than jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Even though watching that rocket go off might put you in danger? We're thinking of Boca Chica. And
no.
What kind of blast is going to happen if 33 engines fail at the same time?
Well, did you see the last test?
The 14 engines or whatever it was?
No, the last one just this week was 11.
11. Okay.
Yesterday.
No, I didn't see it yesterday.
Yeah, and the amount of cloud that thing, I can't imagine 33, but we're getting off track. So, yeah, it'd be a safe distance to watch that, too.
Yes.
But they make you're like 3 miles away when you're observing those rockets, because if it blows up, if you're closer than that, you're going to die or could get very, very hurt very easily.
So public safety is a concern. Is public safety not a concern for these helicopter mountain skiing?
I don't think they give a crap. I think
you sign a waiver, do you? I wonder.
I just think it's like, well, what are you going to do? Leave them there? You're going to go anyways. Somebody's going to go try to get them. There's I don't know. It's a mindset to me. If you're if what you're going to do is going to put other people in danger, should you screw up, maybe you have to take some sort of an intelligence test or something to determine that you know what you're doing and that you will survive. And then that way you can say to them, okay, well, good. We can wait 2 days before we come and look for you then. Yeah, something, not just let people
We're talking about helicopter rescues and emergency responders who have to respond to a scene where someone, by choice, put themselves at risk and didn't come out on the winning side.
Well, I remember last time I heard it. It probably happens every year around where I live, around here too. The ice gets thin in the spring. Don't go out in the ice. Yeah. And it always seems to be some wacko decides to go out in the ice, either dies or loses his car, or worse, the military have to come in and helicopter them out at no expense to them. You were told not to go out in the ice. It's not safe. So maybe they need a psychiatric, you're forced to have a week-long psychiatric examination to see if you're just nuts.
Yeah.
Like if you just do
that's
that.
That's a hard thing to put a limit on, the freedom. I call it the freedom to roam, mobility. So if we say you can't snowmobile, then all of a sudden we're the can't do this and can't do that society of restrictions.
Well, snowmobile, there's other places you can snowmobile than on a melting lake or a river. There's other places you can go snowmobiling. And if all of that snow's gone, intelligence would tell you probably shouldn't be going out on the water because it's probably not safe.
Oh, come on, Dad. We'll be okay. Haven't you heard that line before?
Yeah, I have. No,
Okay.
You don't go out. You can't go out. Well, that's how I feel anyways.
No, I think it's an interesting thing and goes into the murky realm of ethics and freedom versus freedom, the right to do stuff. You have the right to do it. You can if you choose. But the consequences of freedom sometimes is costly, very costly.
Yeah, and again, if your attitude is I really don't care if mom's worried, or I really don't care if my wife's worried or my husband's worried, I really don't care if I get stuck up here and, they're going to have to send emergency people in risking their lives to get me. It's one thing to be, go off a road in a car and you roll over and you're stranded somewhere and they have to come and get you. It's another thing to put yourself in that place with a total disregard of anybody risking their lives to get you. I just don't appreciate that mentality. It's just not something that registers well with me.
I think you're right. We got this conflict where we have the rights to do all kinds of things, but is it the best choice for yourself and or others around you, including those who have to respond to a need? So we have to weigh all these things out. And in terms of helicopters, EMS, and all the other rescue operations, fire department rescues, all the stuff takes training of personnel, takes resources, the equipment, and all of that costs money. And we're willing to bear that burden as a society. Are we now not willing to bear that burden for bad choices?
I guess you got to weigh it up. I mean, I could see someone wanting to go skiing and wasn't aware it was dangerous, but usually now it's pretty marked out. And you might want to just do a little investigating before you wander off into those areas. Remember that whole group of kids that they ended up, the mine got flooded and they were stuck in there?
Yeah.
I mean, a guy died getting them out. Now, those kids, that wasn't their fault. I don't even think it was their teacher or guide's fault either. It was a flash flood and they were screwed over.
Tom Hanks has the movie now out about it.
Yeah, and somebody died, trying to get those kids. Gallant human being, but he lost his life because of that situation. Now imagine if those people were told, don't go down there, don't go in there, it's dangerous. And then that guy died. I think that's just absolutely sad that someone just decides, I want to do it. And who are you? I mean, everybody get in line, buddy.
It gets complex when we start talking about rights and freedom to choose and consequences when we get into poor choices versus, what do you call it? Addiction, maybe? So when I look at that and we talk about rehabs and trying to get people out of these addictive situations, do we use the argument? Is there a moral or ethical reason to say it's your fault? Or do we draw the line at that kind of stuff and say, we will help you regardless? As a society, we value you as a
I don't
human.
know. I'm glad I'm not the one they're calling on because I'd probably put my stupid life in danger trying to get the stupid person.
Now, when you say stupid person, you're talking about the drug addict on the street who's going to crash, and you have the choice of taking them in or giving them the whatever drug.
That's a whole different. Number one, I'm fortunate I live in the country. There's not very many drug addicts rolling around on the street. I probably wouldn't.
You just
stop.
don't live in the areas of cities where that might be more prevalent.
Yeah, and a lot of those are their choice as well. They've had opportunities to get cleaned up. They don't want to, or they can't. And I guess we can't hold that against them. Same as if an alcoholic's an alcoholic.
Right.
You can't have it both ways.
No,
either
addiction
it's a
and
disease,
mental health play in here somewhere. So
either it's a disease or it isn't.
Yeah.
And if it's then a disease, then that person really can't be blamed.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to blame. It's usually a certain mindset that wants to assign blame rather than the mindset to say, how can I help?
Yeah, I guess. I know people to this day, I think it's true that they don't believe in safety belts in our vehicle. And so should they get in an accident and their clumsy little head flies over and kills the person beside them, well, he didn't believe in safety belts. To me, it's a very self-centered way of looking at things. The reason your safety belt on isn't just for you. It's so you'll keep control of the vehicle so that person on the side don't get killed, the person behind you don't get killed. It's just not all about you. So put the bloody safety belt on.
Words from Jim of the Jim and Terry Show. Wear your safety belt, because it's not just about you.
Yeah.
Or your phone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye for now.
Wear a mask.